Welcome to Winning with the Burns, a podcast for highly ambitious people who have a burning desire to learn what it takes to win at a high level. Hey, welcome to the Burns Marketing Podcast. Today I just want to encourage you a little bit about, not having talent. I hear that old cliche, well, I don't have talent. I'm not able to do this. I coached my son growing up in baseball. I still coach a little bit at the high school as a community coach, and there's so many kids that come through there that, some have more talent than others, but, some have better work ethic than others. But I saw a thing years ago on Facebook, and, that's where information used to always come, Facebook, Instagram. You can get anything. Now it's TikTok, right? You can learn a lot through TikTok, depending on what your algorithm is. And there was something that come across, and it said 10 things that require zero talent. That hit home for me because there's a lot of things you can overcome even though you might not be talented. So I'm just going to run through these. Maybe you got a pen or paper, you want to jot some of these down, but 10 things that require zero talent. Number one, being on time. Being on time shows respect. If you're on time somewhere, what that shows to the person you're meeting or the practice that you're going to or the meeting that you're attending is I value your time as much as I value myself. So it's very respectful to being on time. Growing up, it was always with my dad, it was 15 minutes early is on time is late, and late is no deal. So just being on time, it takes very little effort to being on time. Just be prepared to be on time. You're respecting others' people's time, and it doesn't take talent to be on time. So that's number one. Number two, work ethic. You can overcome a lot of things by just working hard. Sometimes you might have to put a little bit more hours in than somebody. Maybe you need to get extra reps if you're playing a sport. Maybe you need to learn a little bit more about the business that you're in, but just working hard will get you further down the road by having a good work ethic. And a lot of people will notice your work ethic. You'll overcompensate your talent by your work ethic. It's like, hey, that kid's good. He works hard, but he makes my team better. Maybe you're in a career somewhere where somebody looks at it and says, you know what, you make my team better because you expose the teammates that are not working hard as you. So they want to keep you around. So work ethic takes little talent to no talent to do. Number three is effort. Anything worth doing is actually worth putting in effort into. I always say that 80% in is 100% out. So you don't ever want to do anything halfway. So if you're actually going to do something, whatever that is, you should put in 110% effort. Otherwise, what's the point in actually doing it? What's the point in actually going through the motions? So you want to put in effort. Always give 110%. Number four, body language. This is something I've been real big with kids that I coached in baseball, is always be aware of what your body says. I played for a coach and I actually get to coach with him. He says, when I look at you on the field, I should never know is if you're up 20 runs or you're down 20 runs in baseball. Your body language shows others. In the workplace, your body language. Do you have a good body language about yourself? So when someone looks at you, they shouldn't be able to tell if you're having a bad day or a good day. You kind of want to be the same. Don't get too high. Don't get too low. Have good body language. If you got to take time to yourself, go count to 10, get your body back in check, and have good body language. It takes zero talent to have good body language. Number five, energy. Energy. Your goals will create your drive. If you have a why big enough, you're going to have the energy to go after. Whether if you're wanting to get into the gym, you're wanting to lose weight, you want to do anything like that, you've got to have energy because there's a lot of times you will not feel like doing it. But if you have that why and you remind yourself of that why each and every day, somehow you'll wind up having that energy that you need to go out and fulfill your purpose. Number six, attitude. A lot of people accuse me sometimes of being too positive, being old positive Peter. Always look at the situation is things could always be worse. So having a good attitude in the workplace, having a good attitude about your career, having a good attitude about anything, because people can sense when you have a bad attitude. My wife and I will cut up a lot of times because I'm like, look, you are the worst. Because sometimes you look like you don't have a good attitude, even though you probably do have a good attitude at this moment, but you're acting like you don't have a good attitude. So always be positive. What I always do is I look at opportunities. There's going to be things that come along your ways that negative affect you. But if you have a good, positive attitude, outlook on it is, how can I look in a win in this situation? Because if you look at something, a trial that comes, look at it as an opportunity and not something that's going to hinder you. So you can solve problems all by having a good attitude. Number 7 is passion. If you're doing something that you truly believe in, and when I mean you truly believe, if you're really passionate about whatever it is you're doing, that is something that cannot be faked. A good mentor of mine always says that you can smell a fraud from a mile away. So be passionate about what you're doing, whether it's your career, whether you're trying to make a baseball team, you're trying to lose weight, you got to be passionate about it. Because deep down to the core, if you really believe in yourself and you believe in what you're doing, what happens is that passion just spills out of you, and people sense that on you. They can sense if you're being fake about something. So always have good passion about what it is you're doing. Number 8 is one of my favorites. It's being coachable and being teachable. You learn something every day. You're always not going to win. Whether it's a game, whether it's something in business, things will not go your way. But if you sit back and you interrogate reality and you interrogate, in this situation, what could I have learned? What could I have done to be better? Because a guy told me years ago, whatever it is that you're doing in life, if you think you know it all in that industry, that's the moment you need to quit, because you have ceiled out in whatever it is you're doing, because you're not willing to learn and grow as a person. So being coachable and being teachable will help you get better at what it is you do. Truett Cathy, I was reading a book years ago, and Truett Cathy, they were talking about Chick-fil-A. Truett Cathy was the one who founded Chick-fil-A, and they were getting ready to go to these freestanding stores. When I was growing up, if you wanted Chick-fil-A, you had to go to the mall. And back then they had that nugget tray, and they would get you to try a nugget just to try to get you to come in and be a customer. Well, they were getting ready to go to these freestanding stores. Well, they were in this boardroom, and they were talking about, all these executives were talking to Truett Cathy about, we need to get bigger. We need to get bigger. We need more stores. We need more stores, because they were trying to beat another competitor to market. Truett Cathy sat back and he says, are you guys done? And they were like, yes, sir. What is it? He said, we got to get better. If we can get better at who we are, we can't help but to get bigger. That's when they started implementing a lot of the stuff that you now know as the culture at Chick-fil-A, because they got better at who they were, because they were willing to learn new practices in business. And the teammates that they have were coachable to accept that teaching, to where they can in turn make their stores better. And in turn, they had bigger sales. And now there's bigger stores. There's more stores throughout the United States, because they got better and they were willing to learn new processes. Number 9, doing a little extra. If you're lifting weights, it's all about just taking one more rep. If you're playing baseball, get a little extra work. Practice may end, but maybe you want to go in and get some extra reps in the cage. If you're at work, 5 o'clock comes and you clock out. Well, maybe you need to work a little bit more and do a little bit of extra, because maybe steal a couple 10, 15 minutes and work on another project, work on a little extra project. Because if you steal 15 minutes a day, what happens is over time it adds up. So it's like compounded interest. A little bit goes a long ways, because if you're consistent by doing just a little extra work throughout the day, what happens is over time you get that compounding consistency, that compounding effect, to where you look up and say, how did I get this far down the road? Well, it's because you put a little extra effort, a little extra work in along the way. And number 10, again, is one of my all-time favorites, is being prepared. I'll always say that chance favors the prepared. Being prepared. A lot of people think about, Well, I'm going on a hike. I need to prepare for water. I need to prepare for my shoes. I need to prepare for the weather. I need to do that, right? Sometimes being prepared is being prepared mentally. Every day when I wake up, I have to get ready for the day because crap is going to come my way, whether it be with one of my kids, whether it's in the business, whether it's somebody that cuts me off in traffic. Like, I have to be prepared mentally to handle adversity. So my outlet for myself is I'll listen to podcasts. I feel like I have friends throughout the podcast industry listening to what they have to say because it gets me prepared and it lets me know that I'm not alone in the world. I'm not thinking the same. I'm thinking the same way that other people are thinking about. So I'm getting prepared for the day mentally. Going to the gym, that's an outlet. Maybe you do meditation, whatever that looks like for you, because being mentally prepared is just as important as being physically prepared for anything you got coming on. A lot of people, maybe you've got a project coming up at work and you're looking at it as, well, I've got to get this slide. I've got to get this presentation together. I've got to get that together. Yes, but you have to work on you first because you are the one that matters. If you don't take care of you, nothing else will ever matter. When you get on an airplane, what is the first thing they tell you to do? When they go through the safety check and they teach you how to buckle a seatbelt, they talk about the oxygen, right? What's the first thing they tell you to do? Make sure you put your oxygen mask on first before you help others. And I looked at it a different light last time I flew. When they said that, they added an extra line to it. They didn't add an extra line to it over the years. I just happened to hear that extra line. It said, even though it may not appear that oxygen is flowing, understand that it is when you put that mask on. So it's not going to automatically inflate. So when you start being prepared for yourself mentally, whether it's the gym or working on yourself, you're not going to have an overnight transformation. Even though it doesn't look like you're getting progress, you have progress going. You just don't see it in the outside, right? So working on yourself, you can't help others until you help yourself. And by being prepared, you will be able to go out, help anybody out that may need your help. Because here's the thing that I know, life is tough. Things happen each day. Sometimes you have great days. Sometimes you have great weeks. Maybe you have great months. But eventually you will face adversity in life. Something's going to not go your way during the day, whether it's somebody in traffic, whether it's a business deal, maybe you play high school sports and you didn't make the team. Something's going to take place. But if you are mentally prepared to handle adversity, then you can handle anything in life. Learn from the process that you go through. So those are 10 things that require zero talent. And here's the thing that I know is hard work works when talent doesn't. So I hope you guys got some good encouragement. I love coming and speaking some life into you guys. I look forward to hopefully seeing you guys next week on our next podcast.